The Magic with a chance to close out the series on Thursday night, but a huge blow not only to their roster, but to the head of Samuel Dalembert. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, glad to be with you here on CBSSports.com. It's a preview of Thursday night's NBA playoff games. There's 3 of them, and of course it starts with the big news. Let's bring in our NBA columnist Ken Berger to discuss it. And Ken, Orlando, Philadelphia, and Dwight Howard suspended for Game 6 for the elbow on Samuel Dalembert. Really can't argue with the suspension here, but obviously the question is, what does that do to the Magic's chances here in Game 6?
Well, it really makes it tough on them. I mean, and you're right. You can't argue with the suspension. I mean, you know, you look at the play, and this had nothing to do with getting a rebound or boxing a guy out. It was extracurricular. It was after the play, and that's what the threshold was for the league to blow the whistle on this. I mean, on one hand, I'm thinking, you know, if you got suspended for elbows in the playoffs, then, you know, the bad boy Pistons never would have won two straight titles in the 90s. But you know, this is a different league now, and you just can't do this. And this is a bad job by Dwight Howard, and no one should be surprised by it. And no one should be surprised if this series has to go back to Orlando for a Game 7. The
other part to this, though, is because of an inadvertent elbow. Howard also knocked out Courtney Lee for Game 6. He's got a fractured sinus. When you look at the Magic here, down 2 of their 5 key components, really their 2 key components, this looks like it's got Philadelphia written all over it, unless who would have to step up for the Magic?
Well, that would have to be Rashard Lewis and or Hedo Turkoglu, probably both of them. I mean, both of them up until Game 5 had really struggled in this series, and you know they're going to need to get 3-point shooting from somewhere. The problem is the reason they're such a good 3-point shooting team is they have Dwight Howard under the basket, and you have to be mindful of him under there. And I don't know if those guys are going to be as open as they are when Howard's on the floor. Probably not. And you know, Dwight Howard has turned into the baddest man on the planet. To he's like the biggest bowling ball on the planet. He's taken out himself and Courtney Lee, their best perimeter defender, and really their most consistent 3-point shooter in this series. I mean, he has been fearless. He's been going to the basket. Philadelphia has really had trouble containing him, and he's been able to step in on the perimeter on whichever guy is hot, and maybe for Philadelphia, and keep him at bay for a while. So this is a real bad situation for Orlando. They should consider themselves lucky that they fought all year for home court advantage, because they're going to need it in Game 7.
And this looks like Game 6 could also be a big-time advantage for Andre Iguodala and Andre Miller to get into the lane as well. Let's move on in the Eastern Conference, because the Bulls-Celtics series has been phenomenal, Ken, and you've been with this every single step of the way. When you look at these 5 games and heading into Game 6 on Thursday, what has been the best part of this series?
Well, you know, it's a combination of the overtimes. It's the first time in NBA history that a playoff series has had 3 overtime games, which is incredible. And in the Boston Celtics' storied history, they've only had one other playoff season with 3 overtime games, 83-84. So, I mean, think of all the playoff series that the Celtics have been in. This is the first time they've ever had 3 overtime games in an entire playoff season. And they've done it, they've already had 3, and there's still 2 games to play. So, I mean, the drama has been amazing. I mean, really, this series, other than Game 3, which was a blowout in Chicago with the Celtics winning, this series could not be any closer. I mean, it is down to the wire every step of the way, and that's why it was so crucial when the Bulls were up 11 points with 9.5 minutes left in Game 5. They really needed to close them out, because you cannot give the Celtics additional life, and that's what they did.
All right, well, Game 6 also, obviously, then, Game 6 in Chicago, and you're going to be there, Ken. Give me the key, you think, for the winner of Game 6.
Well, all the focus is going to be on the physical play and the officiating. And, everyone saw, the only thing that this series was missing was blood, and we got blood in Game 5 with Brad Miller driving the lane. The Celtics were so concerned about Ben Gordon getting the ball, they left the basket open, and Brad Miller drove the lane, got hammered by Rajon Rondo. Now, Brad Miller's almost 300 pounds. Rajon Rondo's 170. But still, an elbow's an elbow, and that's what connected with Brad Miller's face. The Bulls, even before Game 5, had already sent in tape to the league of what they alleged were headhunting activities by the Celtics. The Celtics, not to be outdone, were already complaining in between Games 4 and 5 about moving picks, which is which is really delicious because they're one of the teams that do that best in the league. So this is all about, really the focus again is where the league doesn't want it. It's on the officials. And they're going to have to, whatever the crew is, it'll be announced tomorrow morning. They're going to have this game under control from the very beginning and make sure that it is officiated consistently and that it doesn't get out of hand, because it definitely has the potential to do that.
All right, Ken, one other game here on Thursday night. That's Game 6 between Houston and Portland. The Blazers stayed off the elimination by winning at home. Now they got to go back to Houston. Again, Rockets trying to win their first playoff series since '97. What is the key for Houston to do that?
Well, they have to get the ball to Yao Ming early and often. And I think if they do that on their home floor, if they don't panic, which I don't think they will, if they can keep Brandon Roy from dissecting him and going off the way he did Tuesday night, I think they'll have a chance. But this is really crucial. I mean, they have to close out this team. They've had the hammer down on them from the very beginning of the series, blowing them out in Game 1, and they need to finish this off because they do not want to have to go back to Portland and win a Game 7.
All right, Ken Berger, thank you very much, sir. We'll look forward to your stuff following Game 6 of Boston and Chicago.
I hope I don't have to get stitches between here and Chicago.
Yeah,
but I'll do my best.
Keep yourself clean. Stay away from the forks there at the airport. Talk to you soon, Ken.
All right.
All right, folks. For more on all the games Thursday night, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com. For Ken Berger, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.